Why do kelp forests matter to us? Um, well, they matter for a variety of reasons. They matter for the animals that live there because it's their habitat, and it provides protection for them and a place to live and a source of food. But for us, it matters because the kelp actually helps to slow down waves before they reach shore, and helps to like reduce the impact of the waves on the shoreline. And so that'll help protect like your house if you live on the shore. It also provides protection for migrating mothers. So gray whales and their calves will migrate every year, and killer whales like to hunt baby gray whales, and because they're very vulnerable. All right, they may be big, but they're not super strong and like good at swimming yet. So they will be hunted by killer whales. And what the mother gray whales will do is they'll actually swim in between a kelp forest and the open ocean to kind of like try and hide from the killer whales. So you've got like the shoreline, some space, and then the kelp forest, and then the open ocean. They'll swim in that space. So that essentially just allows for them to, kind of like hide from the killer whales. They're not as obvious to the killer whales. So the kelp forests help to protect baby gray whales. Good. Bless you. We also get a lot of commercial value from kelp forests in terms of like the species that we harvest from there, like abalone or lobster or urchin. Okay, but remember last semester when we talked about like the 3 products that we extract from algae, agar, algin, and carrageenan? Bless you. Those are the 3 products, and I passed around in class the different things, and we looked at like the types of kelp products that were in food. Yeah, we get kelp products from kelp to put in food, like ice cream, and everybody loves ice cream because it's delicious. So that's one of the things that we get. Kelp forests are also valuable because of tourism. So it's really fun to go and like kayak on a kelp forest because you can see lots of things, like harbor seals and sea otters and stuff like that. So I highly recommend it. It's pretty fun. Also, diving's pretty cool too because again, there's a lot of things to see. So do it. It's cool. Okay, so how many of you have heard of El Nino? Yeah. Okay, so El Nino, Southern Californians know El Nino as like the years that we get a lot of rain, and we like that. Okay. Kelp forests see El Nino as like death, pretty much. So El Nino actually causes a lot of problems for kelp forests. And let me explain what happens in an El Nino event, and then we can talk about like why that affects kelp forests. Okay. So remember, we have winds that get formed in the atmosphere by the uneven heating of the earth by the sun, and you get these big strong winds, particularly at the equator. The trade winds are the most constant winds on earth. And so normally you get these trade winds that are blowing, and they're actually blowing the water that's over by us, okay, or over by like Chile and Peru and South America. And they take all of that surface water that's normally there that's warm, and they blow it over towards the other side of the Pacific, okay, over towards Indonesia and Australia, over there. Okay, so normally that's what's happening. Okay, the wind is blowing all of that surface water over. And as it blows that warm surface water over, that helps to draw water up from the deep, right? And helps to create this like cold water, nutrient-rich upwelling on our coast. Okay, that's normal. What happens in an El Nino event, we don't really know why. It tends to happen approximately every 4 years or so. These winds break down. No idea why. So they break down, and all of this warm water that's normally getting pushed over to this side of the ocean sloshes back across the Pacific and like comes back over to our side. Okay, so we bring warm water over to where it's not normally. Okay, and that causes a lot of problems for kelp forests. Okay, so kelp likes cold water. All right, and when they're not in cold water, that's bad for them. this picture here, before I switch the slide, is just to kind of help you see the sea surface temperature. So notice how like normally all the red and orange is like over here, close to Australia and Indonesia and Papua New Guinea. And then in an El Nino event, look at where it is, over by us. Okay? So warm water by us, which affects the kelp. Okay? So kelp likes cold water, and El Nino brings warm water. So when kelp are in warm water, they get weakened. So just like you, if you don't sleep, very much for a long time, like you're doing lots of schoolwork and stuff like that. So just like you get weakened physically when you're, stressed and stuff, kelp get weakened physically by being in warm water. Okay, so they get weakened. That makes them more vulnerable to disease, just like you're more vulnerable to getting sick when you're, tired and stressed out. They are also more vulnerable to disease. They're also more likely to be uprooted by storms because they're weaker. So when the storms come from El Nino, because we get lots of storms from El Nino, those kelp are more likely to get pulled up and uprooted. So what happens is, because they get weakened and sick and stuff, we actually get a distribution decrease in kelp forests during El Nino. So the amount of kelp forest actually decreases during that time. And sometimes if it's really severe, you can actually get a switch from a kelp forest to an urchin barren state, okay, because so much of the kelp gets destroyed and pulled up. So you can actually get, your other alternative stable state can occur because of El Nino. And what's also interesting is normally you kind of have like a mix like around us of like fish that come up from the south and fish that come down from the north. We kind of have a combination of both of those types of fish in our kelp forests. But in El Nino, because you get warmer water, you get some more of like the southern fish that come up and push out some of the northern fish. And so you get more southern fish in the community. And then there is a thing called La Nina that actually brings colder water. And in that case, you get northern fish that come down and kind of like push out the southern fish. So the actual makeup of the community will alter depending on